In this video, we're going to provide you with some strategies and tips that you can use to navigate a job fair effectively. So, by attending a job fair, you have a really unique opportunity to make some connections with recruiters, to discuss opportunities within their organizations in real time. It's pretty unique for recruiters to be gathered together in one single location for several hours with the sole purpose of being able to connect with you. So it's really important that you are able to take advantage of this, and it's important for you to be as prepared as possible, because this is the first impression that a particular company or a particular recruiter is going to have of you. So everything we talk about here is going to be geared towards helping you make the most of this really unique opportunity that you have. And we're going to kind of break down our strategies and our tips into 3 separate steps. We'll look at things you can do before the job fair to get ready, things you can do during the job fair, and then things you can do after to kind of wrap things up and put a nice bow on everything. So that's our kind of plan going forward. As we start to think about what we want to do before the job fair, this is where it's really important that we are preparing as much as possible for the fair. It's entirely possible for you to go in without doing any preparation, but that's not going to be the most beneficial for you. So the first tip that I have for you is to make sure that you prepare your resume. Make sure that your resume is as up to date as possible with current activities, involvement, pieces of experience, etc. And we've created a separate video, a resume specific video for you to view with some additional resume building tips. But either way, it's a good idea to have a family member or a friend or someone at the Career Center or all 3 review your resume ahead of time. Take a look at it, make sure that it's good to go, make sure that it's free of error. Also, make sure that you have plenty of printed copies of your resume that you can actually bring to the fair ahead of time. And make sure that you're printing those resumes on resume paper, a specific type of paper. That is something that's really going to elevate the way your resume looks and feels when you present it to the recruiters. Another thing you want to do is spend some time identifying the companies you want to spend time with. There are a ton of companies at a job fair, and a lot of times it can be overwhelming. So create a list of companies that you want to visit with the most. You can view a list of employers who will attend the Higher Ed Raters job fair on the University Career Center website. And just know that you're not going to have time to visit all of the employers that are there. So make a list of, say, your top 5 or your top 10 that you absolutely know that you want to speak with. That way, when you go in, you know who you want to talk to. You can check the companies off as you speak with them, and you can really maximize your time at the fair. Another thing is to make sure that you plan to dress appropriately. Your outfit, as much as anything else, is your first impression to prospective employers. So you want to dress like you would for a job interview. If you're wondering, should I wear this or should I wear that, a good rule of thumb is just to err on the side of being too formal, being overdressed rather than being underdressed. Because again, remember, this is just the first impression that employers are going to have of you. The next thing you want to do is make sure you take some time preparing your elevator pitch, that speech that you use to introduce yourself to the employer. Now, we've created an entire separate video on elevator pitches, so be sure to see that for some additional tips, but having your elevator pitch ready to go is incredibly important. Also, pack a bag to bring with you with some supplies, okay? Bring some water with you. It's easy walking around in a crowded building to get dehydrated. You want to make sure that you're plenty hydrated, and that you have those essential supplies with you. Bring a pen, pencil, something to write with. And then it's also really important that you have a notebook or a pad folio, something that you can write in and also carry your resumes with, so that you're not just carrying around a bundle of papers. both papers that you bring and papers that employers are going to give you. So a Padfolio, a notebook, something you can stick those papers in is really important. If you have business cards, you also want to make sure that you bring those as well. So pack your bag, make sure you have plenty of things with you so that you can make it through the day. It's also not a bad idea to throw a snack in your bag so you can just pop out of the fair itself, grab a snack, and go back in and not have to spend a bunch of extra time away from the fair. So packing and preparing before the job fair, I think, is one of the most crucial things you can do to make the entire fair a success for you. Now, when it comes to the fair, this is the time when you're really getting to present yourself and when you're making those connections. So the first thing, again, is to be prepared to introduce yourself with that elevator pitch. Again, see our separate specific video for that, but essentially in your elevator pitch, you're going to talk about yourself for about 30-45 seconds to a minute. And when you're done introducing yourself to the employer, ask them a question, right? Get them talking. So can you tell me about your company? Can you tell me about what opportunities you have? Things like that. Pass the ball to them, get them talking, and start that conversation. Another thing is to pay attention to those nonverbal cues and the nonverbal communication that you're sending. Most of the communication that we do as human beings is nonverbal. So make sure that you're standing up straight, make sure that you're making eye contact, smile frequently throughout the conversation. I know that a lot of times we can be tense when we're at the job fairs talking to a bunch of different employers. Our nerves can be up, but it's really important that you smile. When you shake hands, make sure that you have a nice, firm handshake. And then, most importantly, put your phone away while you're actually at the fair, and especially while you're talking to recruiters. There's nothing worse than having your phone go off, or even your smartwatch go off while you're there talking to recruiters, and then you're distracted, they're distracted, and you're not fully engaged. So make sure you put those phones away, actually out of sight, while you're engaging in those conversations. Have some good questions lined up, especially for those 5 or 10 companies that I already told you to have picked out. Ask good questions, right? Your questions should show off your knowledge about the company or the industry that they are involved in, or positions that they are offering. You can ask them about specific dates and deadlines, right? When do you need to have applications due by? What's the best way to get in touch with you? Can you tell me more about this specific internship, right? So ask really good questions. Have some questions prepared to ask them if at all possible, right? So when you go in there and you look at those companies that are coming and you write those companies down, go on their website, research those companies, look at what positions they're offering, and be prepared to ask questions about those. Then finally, as you're wrapping up your conversations with the recruiters, exchange some contact information. Let them know that you would like to stay in touch with them and ask them what the next steps are, right? So you can just say very simply, I'd love to stay connected with you. How can I do that? They may ask for your resume, at which point you can give that to them. They may ask for you to swap info on LinkedIn, or they may give you a business card and ask you to email them. But make sure you get some good contact info from them as you wrap up the conversation. So those are things to keep in mind while you're actually there at the fair to make that time the most beneficial to you. But your work is not done after you end that conversation. After you're through with the fair, or even after you're through with an individual meeting with an employer at the fair, you still have a little bit of work you want to do to make things go your way and to make things go well for you. So after you meet with an employer, before you go meet with another employer, you want to write a few notes to help you remember the recruiter you just talked to. Any information they gave you that felt that seemed very relevant to you, write that down as well. Make sure you put their contact info down on your notepad if you have it. And this is why it's so important to have something to write with. What this is going to do is it's going to help you in future correspondence, because you're going to talk to a lot of employers. There's going to be a lot of information floating down. And if you're not writing some of this down after you visit with an employer, it is really easy to get confused, and later on you're wondering, what did I actually talk with that recruiter about? Did I talk with this recruiter about this particular thing, or was it another recruiter? And so write some notes down after you visit with each recruiter in specific places in your notepad. So make sure you have something to write with, make sure you're taking notes, and most importantly, getting contact information down after you visit with a recruiter. Because another thing you're going to do that's really crucial is you're going to write thank you notes to recruiters that you interacted with, okay? Within 48 hours of the job fair, the earlier the better, you want to send a thank you note directly to the recruiters that you spoke with. It should be a short thank you note, 3 to 4 sentences, and you want to make sure that you mention some of the specific things you discussed with them in your conversation. That's going to be something that's really going to make a big difference and kind of elevate you and help you stand out from other applicants or other people that they talked with, is writing those thank you notes and continuing that conversation. That's something that's going to really help you land those opportunities. So stay in touch with those folks and follow up with them. So those are just a few strategies that will hopefully help you navigate the job fair more effectively. If you're interested in some more tips, some more strategies, you can look on our University Career Center website. You can watch the other videos that we have. So we have one on building a resume and one on an elevator pitch as well. So take a look at those. And of course, your Career Center staff will be there to support you during the fair itself as well. So thank you for watching.